Hey everyone, Adam here. Welcome back to another video. This one I was asked to do, quite a while ago, and I never got around to it because I just didn't feel like I had what I wanted to be able to do this video. So sometime in early 2022, I picked up one of these, did a lot of research. This is a HP Reverb G2 V2, because I wanted to try out VR in iRacing. I heard a lot of really cool things about how immersive it can be. I also heard there's a lot of issues, and I did a lot of homework. I spent a lot of time in the iRacing forums, on Reddit, watching YouTube videos from VR gaming specific channels, and it really came down to that the Reverb G2 was pretty much the current gold standard for sim racing. The Vario Aero is also available, but this is 1/4 the price, and from my understanding and all the research I've done, it gets you about 90% of the quality that the Vario Aero does. And for me, you know, I think this is $400 or $500 versus a little more than $2,000 for the Aero, plus a couple of base stations up there. I'm okay getting 90% of the quality for 25% of the price. I did a lot of racing in VR when I got this for the first month. But, well, the reason I didn't do this video back then was because Steam VR is garbage. It is absolute crap. I went from 2200 iRating down to about 1600 in a matter of 2 weeks, mostly due to Steam VR disconnects from the headset. Since then, iRacing now natively supports OpenXR. I have been using this very heavily with OpenXR over the last, I don't know, maybe week now at this point, and I have not had one disconnect, one issue. And in fact, if you use OpenXR Toolkit, you can really kind of fine-tune some of these things. I'm not going to go into detail. There's a lot of really great videos on YouTube right now about how to tune your Reverb G2 and other various VR headsets using the OpenXR tools for iRacing and ACC. Just go check those out, because that's what I learned from those guys. I copied some of their settings, and I have tweaked, and I'm still tweaking to get there. But let me then also get one thing straight right away, because I know I'm going to get asked this question somewhere in the comments. I am not faster in VR versus triples. My lap times are pretty much identical. They're well within 1/10 of a second, depending on the car and track combo that I have tested this in. And I have tested both in VR and in triples. Now, I will say with VR, I'm able to get up to speed faster, because I actually have depth perception with VR. I can see the corners, I can see the apexes much more clearly. I'm able to hit them much sooner, and therefore my lap times will get faster in VR than with triples. However, with triples, the one thing that I absolutely love that I have with triples that I don't get with VR is my peripheral focus. Now, I don't want to confuse that with field of view, because obviously right here with my triple monitors that I have set up, although 2 of them are disconnected, so that I can use the display port for this, I get 180 degree FOV 179 actually with this, but my focus, out of my peripheral vision with the triples is much sharper than it is with the G2. So if I am fighting somebody in a battle and they are pulling alongside my right or left, I can see them out of my window, out of my peripheral vision with my triple monitor. With the G2, the outer edges, and I'd say it's probably 10 to 15% of that outer edge of your FOV is not clear. So I have to actually rotate my head, kind of focus my eyes on that point, and it's brief, it's just a second, it's a quick look and back for this to focus for me to know where that guy is. So yeah, VR is a little more realistic, it's far more immersive, and I absolutely love it for that, but I don't think I'm going to go full-time VR just yet. It's so close that I really want to make that jump but a couple of things are right now holding me back. With the Reverb G2, because it uses cameras, you can see one right there. There's a couple on the front to kind of get its positioning. If the lighting here in my dungeon of a basement isn't quite right now I've got all the lights on in my back room here, and I'll be fine. But if one of these lights happens to get turned off, I will start to get drift on my headset. So the next thing you know, I'm going down the straightaway at Long Beach in the LMDH, and my head is floating now outside of the car, and I've got to keep hitting that recenter HMD button that I've got bound on my wheel. The other reason I'm not going to jump into full-time VR is for 2023. I am committing myself to run virtually the entire NASCAR iRacing series, and I also want to stream it here live on YouTube. And I don't think VR streamers are really all that interesting. But I don't know. If maybe I'll do a couple in triples and I'll do a couple with VR, and we'll see how it goes. Let me know in the comments what you might find interesting to you. I will try it out and report back findings, because I'm just here to support the community. That's my main goal for this channel. But the other reason I'm doing this video is because when I reviewed the Grid Engineering MPX, that's a crappy camera. Let's go with that camera. When I reviewed the Grid MPX, I mentioned in my review that this may be the perfect wheel for VR racing, and honestly, this wheel is the reason why I pulled my G2 out of the box. It's been sitting down on the floor for about the last 6 months now. Because I wanted to actually test this out and be able to report back to you guys how great this thing actually is in VR. I mean, it took me moments to get my muscle memory down with the dual thumb funkies, and I apologize, you can't see this one up here with the camera angle. You know, the 4 buttons on each side, the thumb rotaries top and bottom, and then the 5 in front. Muscle memory, I already know right away where all these are at. It took me moments to adjust because the placement of these are just perfect. So I know that I've got, you know, TC 1 and 2, or if you're in the LMDH, they're flopped. I don't know how iRacing devs got that backwards. Hopefully they fix it. My brake bias, my ABS, and my engine map, I know that they're here. My front and rear ARBs are up here for the LMDH, and then my black box is here. Of course, pit limiter, radio, jump in the car. So what I'm going to do right now, because I know some people wanted to actually see more video of the MPX with it all lit up, is I'm going to go ahead and put my headset on. I got to remove this headset first. Go get the VR headset on. We'll jump into the LMDH. We'll go run some laps. For me, this looks super awesome because it's 3D. I have depth perception. For you, unfortunately, there's no real way to record VR and make it look as awesome as it looks in the headset. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, so quick. Let's make sure we have the right camera. Nope, that's not the one I want. Where's my, there, is that it? There we go. All right, so I got my VR headset on. I've got this on. Let me find my gloves. This has been the fun part, trying to put my gloves on, and thankfully Moradness short gloves are nice and easy to do when I can't actually see where they're at. Let's go ahead and make sure OBS is right. Yay, I got it right. All right, so I'm gonna jump in the car. I'm gonna reset my heads-up display there because it kind of drifted a little bit from me bouncing it around. Let's see, pit limiter. Now what's cool, because the BMW, now I'm pointing at where the BMW dash is in my headset here. You're looking at me pointing at the MPX. This is going to be very strange. But because of this wheel, I can see across the top TC 1, 2, front and rear ARBs, and at the bottom I get brake bias. Super awesome for VR drivers that this is all right here on the wheel. And so I know that for the first couple of laps, before I even pull out of the pits, I need to set my pit speed limiter. That's there. I want to turn the brake bias back. Whoops, wrong way. Turn the brake bias to 5175. That's where I like it with this set. My pit speed limiter's on, and the rear ARB down to 3. And we can go. We have to deal with the incredibly lengthy Long Beach pit lane. Make sure my headset's on right. These lenses are filthy. I need to clean them. I thought about doing a full race here, but I'm not going to. We're just going to run some laps. Now this corner right here, I cannot hit that apex properly with my triples. Not been able to do it. I'm around the water fountain there. But that's one of the things where VR has that benefit for me, is that I can see the apex because I have that depth perception. This car and this track is a crazy good combination. Thankfully, I've got somebody who fully understands how to set up this car. Because I don't. I just drive it. And the feeling I get in VR, like I actually have to rotate my head to see the apex. I don't do that with my triples. I just kind of have that tunnel vision, that straight out looking at the center of my center monitor, and maybe if there's a car next to me, I'll turn my head. Also, driving in socks is a weird feeling for me. I usually wear my shoes. Oops. Alright, well, I hit the wall, but I know where my buttons are because this wheel is awesome for muscle memory. Don't even wait for the dash to come on, and I'm pointing at the MPX, but I'm thinking I'm pointing at the dash in the BMW. Let's try and get some good clean laps. Now, I've got some of the graphic settings in iRacing turned down. I'm on a 12900K CPU, 3090 EVGA GPU, and I don't like, whether it's triples or in VR, I don't like the virtual mirror. I like to use the actual cockpit mirrors. So if I look up there, I can see it. It just feels more natural for me. Alright, after the first lap, I need to turn the rear roll bar back up. Alright. 4, 5. I can see that on the in-car dash, which is amazing. If I didn't have that info displayed on the in-car display, I'd have to create an overlay to do that for me. I overshot. Need to do some cable management. I love that Grid supplies this wheel with a very long coiled cable. But if I forget to wrap it around the spacer for my direct drive motor, it's bouncing off my knees and it's a little annoying. Lock up. Alright, so now I need to turn the brake bias down. That's been 2 laps. 51.25. but I get so much closer to the apex and to the walls in VR than I ever would in triples. Which is the one thing that I really find interesting, is that my lap times can be so similar between the two setups. Whoop. I need that traction control. Come on, iRacing. Let's see, can I do it? I don't have TC cut bound. I don't know if this car has a traction control cut. I don't know enough about this car. I spent all of 2023 Season 1 prepping for the 24 Hours of Daytona, and only drove about 12 laps in this car around Daytona. Alright, 1:12.15 was my last lap. Let's try to get a decent one in here. Nope, this lap's gonna be awful. Well, we'll park it. We'll go ahead and pull it out. Alright, there we go. Let's make sure I get right back to the right camera there. So there we go. I don't know, just a few laps in VR for the fun of it, and to kind of show off more the Grid MPX. Let me go ahead and set my headset down here. Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely great for VR because I know where everything is. Whether or not VR is absolutely great for me as a sim racer, I'm not quite sold on it yet. I can do with the loss of field of view. That's not a big deal. I've spent a number of years racing motorcycles, so I'm used to having that sort of narrower area of focus. But the one thing that I still struggle with is that ability to have that that peripheral focus, so I can't quite see what's over here or over here as quickly and as easily. But then there's advantages, like the waterfall turn at Long Beach. I cannot hit the apex with my triples to save my life. I've done it maybe once in any car I have driven around here. For some reason, I just can't do it. But in VR, first lap in the LMDH, in VR, around Long Beach, I hit that apex. So it's a trade-off. I will say OpenXR, now that we have full support for that in iRacing natively, it is far superior to Steam VR. So if for some reason you're still using Steam VR, I beg you, switch. Try it. It is worth the 20 to 30 minutes you're going to spend watching some YouTube videos, and then another 20 to 30 minutes just getting it set up and copying somebody's setup. That I really, really recommend you do it. But going forward, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'll maybe do some more IMSA at Long Beach this week. Maybe I'll do a race, the whole thing in VR, and film it and post it up, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, if you're a VR racer and you are in need of a proper wheel that doesn't require you to have to reach for a button box, that doesn't really require anything because it's all right here. And even though you can control all these LEDs with SimHub, if you're a VR racer, that means nothing to you. I get that. But it is super nice having everything right here just at your fingertips. Right now I've got the reset HMD button bound to right here, this rear auto P9, just because that's nice and quick and easy when I do have to reset it. But thankfully with all the lights on, I don't get any drifting happening with my headset. But if one of the kids happens to come down and flick that light switch over there, I'm in trouble. So there's some positives and negatives. That's it. I'm rambling now, so I'm just going to say thanks for watching. Make sure to be cool to each other out there, and I will see you in the next video.